The immigration world is changing very fast. It's hard even for us to keep up with it. Looking at the options available out there in 2025, I don't recall if there was a time where more countries had citizenship investment programs opened. We are talking about countries that sell their passports in 2025. It's Irena here from Millionaire Migrant. Millionaire Migrant is powered by Saver & Partners, the company that Jeremy is also a CEO for, who has processed more than 2,000 citizenship applications and has government licenses to do so. So with their help, we put together this video for you to go through the full list of countries selling citizenship in 2025, how much it costs, and what makes each one unique. Some of them are fast, some of them are flexible, and a couple are honestly pretty clever. So let's jump in. The one that remains popular no matter what happens in the world, those are the Caribbeans. Caribbeans with their 5 countries that offer citizenship investment program. The first one I want to mention would be St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis is the most reputable one and the oldest citizenship investment program out there. But it's also the most expensive one, with the donation starting at $250,000. It is, however, one of the fastest ones. It takes around 5 months to get your St. Kitts passport. We just had a couple of them issued last month. The second fastest one would be Grenada. Grenada is a bit cheaper. It comes at $235,000 for the donation. The processing time takes, I think, around 6 months, I'd say. But the good thing about Grenada is, first thing, it has E2 visa treaty with the US. So basically with the Grenadian passport, you can then later on get the E2 visa and visit the US in case that you're renounced or anything like that. Most of the people who are renounced really go for a Grenadian passport or some other that we're going to mention later. So stay tuned. But the thing is that the rules when it comes to the E2 visa changed a while ago. So now you have to spend some time in a country and you have to show that you actually live there. And only after that you can get the E2 visa. The good thing about Grenada is that Grenada is kind of located outside of the hurricane belt. So even if you want to live there and be able to later on apply for an E2 visa, it's not as risky, I'd say, as some of the other countries out there. I mean, in the Caribbeans. The third one I want to mention would be Dominica. Dominica it used to take 3 months or so a while ago. At the moment, it takes around 8 to 12 months. So it's quite a lot, but wait till you see the other ones. The starting donation comes at $200,000. Or you can do real estate as well for $200,000. So the good thing about I wouldn't say the good thing about real estate in Grenada, but pretty much it's very difficult to find a property in Caribbeans that either qualifies for the citizenship program or in general, right? The good thing about Dominica is that it's easy to find real estate there, right? It's not like any other countries in the Caribbean where it's very, very difficult to find real estate there that would qualify for citizenship and that has no flaws, if I can put it like that. In Dominica, it's a bit easier to find that. Another note is as well that Dominicans accept some of the blacklisted nationalities that some of the other countries, even in the Caribbean, don't. We're moving on to Antigua and Barbuda. So Antigua and Barbuda is also a very famous program. Right now, though, the processing time is more than 1 year. It comes to 12 to 14 months. It's a lot. The starting donation comes at around $230,000. It can go up to, let's say, $260,000. Depends, again, for all of these. Depends on the family members that you'd like to add. But the one good thing about Antigua is that they accept large families. So, for example, you'd have a main applicant, you'd have a spouse. You can have married dependents that are under 30 years of age. You can have unmarried siblings. You can have parents. You can have grandparents, and all of them would be in one application. So that's a good thing about Antigua, and we always recommend it if it comes to large families. Antigua is your best bet. Now going into the last one in the Caribbean, which is St. Lucia. Once upon a time, a favorite of a lot of people got the St. Lucian passports. It was not the cheapest one, but it was one of the cheaper ones. Right now, the donation starts at $240,000. Again, like I mentioned earlier, with all of this, the more dependents you add, the bigger the donation. The thing is that for St. Lucia, the processing time right now is the slowest of them all. At the moment, it takes more than 1 year, and more than 14 months, like in Antigua case, it takes around 18 months to get St. Lucian passport. So if you need something very fast, St. Lucia may not be your best bet. When we're talking about travel freedom, pretty much all of these offer similar visa-free access. So of course, we have the Schengen area. I mean, it's been a bit tricky with the pressure that the Caribbeans are getting from the US and the EU. But so far, they do have the Schengen access. They have the UK access, not all of them. Dominica did lose its UK visa-free access in 2023, but they're in talks in kind of getting it back. They pretty much have much of Latin America available, China, Singapore, Russia, and others. Obviously, a lot of people go for the Caribbean passport to be like, yeah, it's tax-free. So, I want to get their passport to not pay tax. That's not the case. You get the tax benefits, but you get it only if you live there. Again, time to citizenship typically depends. It can go from 5 months to 18 plus months. And the good thing about the Caribbeans is that in the future, you can also add your future children and so on, but you have to pay a small fee for that. There are a lot of, however, potential issues or discussions or future potential issues with the Caribbeans. So the first one is, again, the previous timeline was like, 3 months to get the passport. Right now, it's more than a year in some cases. You have no idea how many client calls we've had where we are like, everything is okay. It just takes longer than expected. Caribbean has gone through a stronger due diligence, so automatically it takes more time. There's been a lot of pressure from the EU and from the US about the increasing investment thresholds, which they already did, and there are some others that I'll mention in a few. But due to all of that, the processing time became very long. One more possible change that may make Caribbeans not so attractive anymore would be the possible residency requirements that are coming in soon. So far, Antigua and Barbuda already has a residency requirement of 5 days in the first 5 years, but maybe all of the other Caribbeans as well are going to do it. And again, if it happens, it's going to happen soon. How it will work, most probably it's going to be a 30-day requirement stay over the 5 years. And again, it can happen anytime. So if you'd like to go ahead and to apply before this happens, we really urge everyone to do it ASAP because it's happening. If you need help with applying for a passport, or if you need help with figuring out which one is the best for you before you apply for the passport, feel free to chat with us and we can help you out because, again, depends on your goals and depends on your lifestyle, depends on a lot of things on which passport is the best one for you to get. Now, moving on to another continent, we're moving to Latin America. So in Latin America, there's not a lot of direct citizenship investment programs, and you may hear rumors that there is tons of them around the world. It's not. These are all of the official citizenship investment programs that exist today in 2025. So El Salvador. El Salvador is one country that has citizenship investment program in Latin America. It's expensive. It comes to $1 million donation, which can be in US dollar, it can be in USDT, or it can be in Bitcoin. El Salvador has been promoting itself as kind of like the crypto-friendly haven, if I can put it like that. But honestly, Jeremy was there a couple of months ago, and we were kind of testing it out, like, okay, let's try to pay something in Bitcoin. Not possible. They looked at us like we're idiots. So I'm not sure how crypto-friendly really El Salvador is. I know it is, but it may be not as much as people are talking about it. However, passport-wise, it is obviously visa-free to Schengen area, to Latin America, Russia, Japan, South Korea, and others. Obviously, it has low taxes, it's pretty much safe and politically stable, and the processing time is quite fast, comes to around 1 to 2 months. Moving on to the next one in Latin America, that has been officially approved. It's in the law, but there is no processing protocol yet. That's Argentina. So Argentina has been talking about citizenship investment program. Well, it started summer this year, and we expect it to happen in late this year or early 2026. What we know so far is that there will be a $500,000 investment in government approved sectors. For example, it can be tech, it can be renewable energy, infrastructure, agriculture, tourism, and others. When it comes to the passport, it's very good. It has visa-free access to 170 plus destinations. Obviously, so far, there is no residency requirement, but we don't know if that will change. And of course, it's dual citizenship flexibility. When it comes to the time, so far, it's 30 business days after application approval and due diligence has been completed. This would make Argentinian citizenship investment program pretty much the fastest out there if it actually stays like this. What are they saying? And due to Malta being closed, Argentina is, I would say, the next tier A passport that everybody should get before it closes down, unfortunately, like most of the others. Now, speaking of Malta, let's talk about Europe. Europe doesn't have official citizenship by investment programs. Again, Malta closed, which was the only one. We had Cyprus closed. We had Montenegro closed. So that's why I'm saying that with countries like Argentina or Malta or something like that, you can't miss your chance. You have to go for it immediately. Europe, however, does have kind of citizenship by merit on how we call it. So this would work in case that you are either, let's say, investing in business or in real estate in the country. You are donating to state projects. You are creating local jobs. You have a strategic impact on science, culture, sports, or anything else that's kind of being developed in the country. So it's basically kind of like making a significant contribution to a country, and in return, they give you a passport. Now, some of the key differences between citizenship by merit and citizenship by investment. It's important one to know because that's why everywhere on the internet you've heard Slovenia citizenship by investment or Austria citizenship by investment. No, it's not citizenship by investment, it's citizenship by merit. And you will know that if you know the difference. So let me teach you. The first one is there is no fixed buy-in amount that you need to donate or you need to purchase a real estate with or invest in your business or anything like that. It's really on a case-by-case basis. And it's granted either by a president or by a prime minister. So, or by specific laws, of course. The residency presence is not required, but in some cases, they require you to spend some time there before granting you the passport. Again, the one thing that's very important is that there is no fixed buy-in amount. Now, some of the countries that offer citizenship by merit would be, for example, Serbia. We hear a lot of people talking about it. Albania, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Georgia, Armenia, and so on. We'll go through some of them. I prefer to focus on the ones that are a part of Schengen area. So, Malta previously had citizenship by exception/investment program, which pretty much required you to make contributions to the government, the donation, and others, and also asked for some residency requirement. Now the program is closed. It may relaunch, but we don't know anything yet. However, the closure of the citizenship by investment program led to citizenship by merit being launched. So what does that mean? It means that you can still get Maltese passport if you make a significant investment in the country. It's not clarified how much it is. Again, remember what I mentioned before. So it's really on a case-by-case basis. But what is a must is that it's definitely a lot more than it was with the regular citizenship by investment program. Well, not a lot, but it has to be above that, of course. So when we're talking about some of the other countries, we do have Austria, for example. Austria has extremely high financial contribution, comes to around 4 to 6 million euros, of course. And it does have tight limits. So it accepts less than 100 people per year. Some of the Balkan countries, like I mentioned, Serbia or Montenegro, they're come at a cheaper price. However, right now, at least when we're talking about Serbia, due to political situation there, the program has been kind of not completely stopped, but slowed down. However, they're definitely open to new investors. Keep in mind that Serbia or Montenegro are not a part of the EU, so you can't just live anywhere in the EU, though you do have Schengen visa free. However, they're also not a part of the CRS, Common Reporting Standard, which makes them pretty flexible regulations-wise. Obviously, the requirements for you would be for number one, to definitely have a clean criminal record, to have a reputable track record, and obviously to make a financial contribution either in business or real estate or anything like that. We are moving to Turkey now. Turkey, however, does have citizenship investment program. So it starts at 400,000 if we're talking real estate purchase, because that's really the one that we're recommending. The bank deposit one, I don't know if I would recommend doing it to Turkish lira being so unstable, and the deposit has to be made in Turkish lira. So with that, I'm not sure if I would recommend it. Probably not. Real estate has been doing much better compared to bank deposit. I'm not saying it's Dubai. Nothing beats Dubai, but it's still pretty good. The citizenship processing time is around 6 to 8 months. Some of the benefits would definitely be, visa-free access. It has 125 countries. It also has an E2 visa treaty with the US, which means that if you live in Turkey for some time, you can apply for an E2 visa and visit the US even after maybe you renounce or you don't have a valid tourist visa or anything like that. There is no residency requirement, which is obviously a benefit with Caribbeans maybe introducing it in the future. And it's really straightforward kind of legal process. We love Turkey. We love their program. It's been, so far it's been stable. It's not that much under pressure of the US or the EU. I guess Turkey doesn't have a lot to lose due to their visa-free access as well. But Turkish passport combined with the Caribbean one is a pretty good one. You pretty much have most of the world covered. So it's a good combination to have. Something that you need to consider is that the due diligence for Turkey has increased. Political risks may affect the program stability in the future. Real estate market, again, is good, but it really depends as well on where and when you buy. Again, Turkish lira is a bit unstable, so just make sure to look at generally the market and the Turkish lira as well before you sell so that you don't obviously lose a lot of money. Now, moving on to some other countries that offer pretty fast citizenships would be Vanuatu and Nauru. So when it comes to Vanuatu, the minimum investment comes at 130,000 US dollars. The processing time comes to around, I'd say, 2 to 4 months, maybe. It's no surprise that we don't really like Vanuatu. Especially after it's lost the EU visa-free access and the UK visa-free access. It's not really a good passport to have at the time. The other one would be Nauru, also starts with 130,000 US dollars. It's also, again, 2 to 4 months, I'd say. It does have UK visa-free, UAE visa-free, for example, but it doesn't have EU visa-free. One interesting thing about Nauru Citizenship Investment Program is that Nauru actually had Ireland visa-free. And then a month after they announced, even less than a month, after Nauru announced their opening citizenship investment program, you could see that Ireland just decided not to give them visa-free travel anymore. So that gives you an idea of of these two programs. We're not definitely a fan of them. They are one of the cheapest ones. But we're going to now move on to the cheapest ones and in the continent that has decided to take over the citizenship investment industry completely, and that is Africa. So let's talk about African citizenship programs. One good thing about all African citizenship programs is that they all accept all nationalities except for North Korea, but all of the African citizenship programs accept nationalities such as Ukrainian, Russians, Belarus, Iranians, all of them pretty much, which is not the case with some of the Caribbean programs and especially European programs. So this is a good thing about Africa. They just recently launched this one program after another, just opening up. So, and they are really breaking the record in terms of that it's one of the cheapest ones. So we'll see how some of them performed. About some of them, we already have a little bit of sneak peek for you. The first one that we expect to be launched in early 2026 would be Botswana. Botswana starts currently at $75,000. Again, one of the cheapest ones. But details on, family inclusion, the processing time, fees, residence requirements, and so on are still pending, and we'll make sure to inform you about that as soon as the information reaches us. The second one would be the Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone starts at $140,000, and with that you get a 90-day naturalization. Or the investment is $100,000 if you come from an African descent, and then the naturalization comes after 60 days. The good thing about Sierra Leone is that you can add pretty much anyone to your application. So if you have more than one wife, for example, you can add as many wives as you have. You can add relatives. You can add siblings. You can even add your business partner to the application, and you can get them Sierra Leone citizenship. The other one would be Sao Tome and Principe. We talked a bit about that already, and about Botswana as well. You can see both of them over here. Sao Tome and Principe obviously right now has $90,000 donation, $90,000. You can get it in 2 to 3 months. The good thing about Sao Tome and Principe, and we talked about it in the video, is that if the Portuguese law to increase the citizenship time from 5 years to 10 years gets approved, if you get Sao Tome and Principe passport, you can get Portuguese citizenship after 7 years instead of original 10. So that may be a benefit when it comes to Sao Tome and Principe passport. We actually already submitted quite a number of Sao Tome and Principe application, and I can tell you that there is a lot of interest and demand for this passport. The final one that already exists for a couple of years now, but it didn't get that much of appeal, would be Egypt. To get the passport, you need to invest around $250,000, which is a donation. It takes around 3 to 6 months. It also has a E2 visa treaty with the US, but on the other side, why most of the people don't go for Egypt would be, I guess, their currency is not very well. I mean, yeah, we're talking about Turkey, but Egypt is way worse. But outside of that, really, the economy in Egypt is not very much appealing. So not a lot of people go for it. And if you really want to get an African citizenship, it would probably make sense to go for some of the cheaper ones that are, actually, well, I don't know if I should call them stable, but there are new programs, and I can definitely tell you again that there's a lot of demand and interest in these programs. So why not? Moving on to Asia. Asia doesn't have that much citizenship investment programs. And that's kind of like a pattern when it comes to Asia. Asia doesn't like giving away their passports. They are okay with getting your residency permit and getting you to their country temporarily or permanently, doesn't matter. But getting a passport there is very difficult. One of the countries where you can get a passport is the UAE. I don't know if you knew, but in the UAE, you can get their citizenship, which is pretty much one of the best ones in the whole world. However, by exception. So that is by exceptional contribution. And it's really, again, decided on a case-by-case basis. You need to have a top-notch profile, and you pretty much need to invest around 10 to 30 million US dollars. Outside of the UAE, the only one that we have left would be Cambodia. Cambodia offers citizenship at $250,000 US dollars donation and is mainly for regional benefits rather than global mobility, really, because it is a pretty weak passport. I will say that there are, however, a lot of talks online about some of the other countries that are offering citizenship investment programs. I've been seeing, okay, fine, we've been seeing Slovenia, Austria, and others in Europe, but we're also been seeing like Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or other countries in Asia offering citizenship investment programs. Coming from this background and being powered up by Saver Partners, they have government licenses. I have to put a caution out there to only pursue unofficial programs that are backed by law. Avoid unofficial channels or corrupt offers or anything like that. It can become very messy in the future. Why I'm saying this is because I know that, you would say, oh, great, I can have Slovenia passport for 15,000 euros. If that's really possible, wouldn't you think that the whole world would have it till now? Something is not right with it. And you really need to work with a professional in the area to advise you whether the program is a legit program and advise you on whether you should go for it or not. One thing that I have to agree with is that citizenship investment programs are becoming more and more expensive. Not just that, but there are more changes. So, for example, Portugal may increase its citizenship waiting period from 5 years to 10 years. Stay tuned, by the way, for this video. We're planning to get it out any day now. Then we have Italy. Italy has made citizenship by descent rules a lot stricter than before. We have Hungary that, for example, cracked down some of the ancestry-based citizenships. And we have the Caribbeans that, again, may introduce a residency requirement. The good thing about this is that even with all of these negative changes, you see that there are always new programs opening up. I wouldn't necessarily call them better programs than the ones that we've had before, because we had Malta. It's an EU passport, and we are replacing it with Sao Tome, right? So it's not as good. But what I will say is that you get the opportunity while you still can, because it is a good investment. The US and the EU are really pressuring Caribbean countries to tighten vetting and raise prices. So for those who really act now, it's still possible to secure a top-tier passport before requirements rise and prices soar. So again, don't wait for it. Get in touch with us now. Some things that you also have to keep in mind are, for example, the hidden fees. Many agencies advertise only the donation amount, no government, no agent fees, no due diligence fees, no passport fees, nothing. And you're like, oh my God, so cheap. And then later, knock, knock, you have to pay another 50K. You have some shady intermediaries. We don't like to talk about them a lot, but especially in certain markets like China, Middle East, and others, you have facilitators that pretty much inflate costs or operate in kind of like gray areas. One thing to know is that if you want to get a second citizenship, you must go through a company that has a government license to do so. And guess who has that? Saver & Partners. Saver & Partners holds 8 government licenses and has processed thousands of applications, whether it's Caribbean or right now Africa or before Malta and others. But every intermediary will have to go through agents. So in order to avoid some outrageous top-ups and pretty much